Pilot edge connected.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you. Last time we streamed live, it sounded like we had a few problems with the sound, so we're hoping it's a little bit better today. Happy to be flying again. We've got a real flight coming up tomorrow out to Quillayute. That's going to be in the very sort of northwest tip of Washington out there near the Quillayute Indian Reservation, and it's pretty sparse, right near the town of Forks where they filmed Twilight, so, you know, film Twilight? No, where Twilight was set. You can tell I'm a really big fan of that series. And I wanted to go ahead and simulate it. Today's conditions in the real world aren't quite as good as tomorrow's, but I think we're going to have decent enough weather to go. So let me go ahead and pop up the tablet and let's show you what we think is going on. Let's see, tablet and cam. There you are. Great. So here we are in Tacoma Narrows area, as you know, out here in Gig Harbor. The basic route is going to be west. We'll use Shelton as a visual waypoint. You can see we're leaving the Olympic Mountains off of our right side there. And we'll just kind of duck around the mountains a little bit. Hoquiam, which we've been to before, is down in our south. We can use the HQM VOR as a situational awareness navigational instrument. And we'll go ahead and just follow the Olympic Mountains and fly those up northwest to land at Quillayute. And you can see Quillayute's got runway 22 and runway 04. Winds typically come from the west on good weather. It's that flow. And right now we're showing 290 at 5 knots. It's nice and gentle. It does show marginal VFR. You see that it has a broken layer or overcast at 22. So I'm a little worried about that, right? It's elevation 194, 200, pretty low terrain around it. Pacific Ocean out to the west. Overcast layer, 2,200 feet. Now, what do we need? We need 2,003 statute miles for VFR, so we're like, we're just barely there. So how long are we going to be scud running, right? That's the question. And do we think things are going to get better? It's going to take us about an hour to get there. So if we look at Hoquiam, and we look at its TAF, right, we're 2212 Zulu, 2221 Zulu, you can see it's going from broken 50 at 1818, 1918, broken 50, to in 2 hours it's supposed to rise up to scattered 250, right? Those broken clouds are supposed to kind of head out and be gone, and that's great. And what about over in KCLM on the north side? What's its TAF say? Basically the same thing. So it looks like, according to TAF, the weather's supposed to get better. Do we think that's really going to happen? Well, probably. Forecast discussion says high clouds may linger on this evening. Overall, VFR will continue to Wednesday morning. The exception being HQM, where there is a good indication of MVFR, IFR marine stratus lasting through Wednesday morning. Mostly clear skies for the interior. Interesting. So, Hoquiam. Are we going to know by Hoquiam whether things are good or not? Yeah, probably. So why don't we give it a try and see how it goes? If, worst case scenario, we turn around and we head back to Tacoma. Tomorrow we know it's going to be pretty great. So waypoints are going to be KTIW. I'm going to start there. We'll go ahead and use K Shelton. We'll use KHQM, and then we use Quillayute. It looks pretty good. We don't need to go all the way to Hoquiam. That's not necessary, but we've got it as an alternative if we need to. All right, and we're going VFR today, so we don't need to do any complicated, filing, IFR flight plan and all that. We will call for flight following, though. Pilot Edge is our friend, and those ATC controllers are good folks on the VFR and the IFR side of the equation, so I got no concerns there. Let's begin. Okay, as we're popping up here, you can see fuel quantity is half, so I'm going to go ahead and set that to 100%. And we'll just set 200 and 200 and not 2,000. I don't think that's going to work. Carrying 25 pounds of bags, 2452, 2558. We're looking really good there. All right. And And let's see, we've got oil temperature and pressure are down at the bottom, so beacon is on. We're good there. We'll go ahead and prime. Fuel pump. 1, 2, 3. Fuel pump off. Stand on those brakes. Put that throttle forward a little bit. Both tanks. Fuel shutoff is in. And we're ready to crank. Clear left. Clear right. Okay to cheat. Crank it. And push. There you go. Get that RPM up to 1,000. Disengage the starter. Good. Good, good, and good. Okay, pressure is off. Pressure is in the green. Temperature is off the peg. Avionics on. Taxi and nav lights active. Yeah, feeling pretty good right now. I like it. Let's make sure we can use our tablet. Looks like we can. And make sure you're hearing me pretty good. Yep, looks like you are hearing me, so that's excellent. We'll just keep that tablet up a second while we work through a couple of things. Clear, 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 clear. We don't need craft today. We'll go ahead and do TIW. And I'm going to check our comms. I'll go ahead and turn the tablet off for a second. We'll check our comms. We'll do a loop back test. Com 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And com 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skyhawk, 7-8 mic, loop back test. Awesome. That's good. And so we'll go ahead and set com 1 to 1215, and then we'll tune in 12405, which is Tacoma weather. Information Yankee, there, yeah, okay, wind 155 at 5. And sky conditions, ceiling 4800 broken. Temperature 17, dew point 10, altimeter 3004, expect runway 17. Grand. And come to switch over to that, and 118.5 we use for Tacoma traffic, and I'm going to set 1204 for Seattle departure. We'll call them for flight following once we're up and in the air. Okay, let's do some more checks. Transponder, Alt, and we're going to set our baro 3004. Make sure that corresponds to 292, I think, is the 295, that's what I said. Yeah, 295 feet KTIW. We're going to go ahead and lean out the mixture just a little bit. There you go. Save those spark plugs while we're on the ground. And transponder is 1200 alt. That's correct for VFR, so that's awesome. Let's set a couple of our nav features. 113.4. 113.4, that's Olympia. And we'll set 117.7, which is Hoquiam VOR. And in PFD options, we'll select bearing 1, bearing 2, and make sure that bearing 1 is set to nav 1, bearing 2 is set to nav 2. We're good. Nav frequencies are set. Com frequencies are set. Awesome. What's our initial altitude out of here? Well, let's figure out where we want to climb at. We know that we've got broken 48, so why don't we go ahead and climb at 45, because we're 300 feet. Excuse me, I'm being an idiot. 48 above. 4,800 above elevation 300 is for 5,100, so I'll go ahead and fly at 4,500, so we'll set that. Now, does that make sense? We can do that right away. You can see here we are that we've got 50, 60, got my tablet on, yeah, 50, 60, and 50. Those are the shelves for the Class Bravo, so 4,500 is no problem. We'll be under the shelves. And why don't we try to stay at 4,500 for as long as we can? We'll be watching the conditions ahead of us. If we have to descend, we will. We'll make a decision at the halfway point at Hoquiam whether or not we have the cloud conditions to be able to continue. If it starts going lower and lower and we have to scud run, 1,000 feet above the ground and all that, we're not in a good spot. But if we can stay 2,000 feet above the ground and 100 feet below the cloud decks, then we're good. Not 100 feet above the cloud decks. What am I saying? I'm saying 500 feet below and 1,000 feet above. That's what I meant. All right. Let's see. Okay, we'll get our checklists out. Got the engine started. Mixture is rich. Oil pressure, external power mixer, switch taxi and landing lights, reduced to idle. No, no, no. Navigation lights on. Master switch on. Radios, flaps retracted. We're good. Okay, and then we're going to be taking off runway 17, so I'm going to go ahead and set that to 170. We're good there. We're going to do our flight plan. Origin. And I'll just use my keyboard. Just type it in here. And en route, we'll use the waypoints of Shelton. And Hoquiam. And the destination will be Quillayute. Let's aim for runway 22 based on the prevailing conditions. Nifty. Let me go ahead and turn the tablet off and let's take a look at the MFD. Range out. Perfect. And we'll set this to 10 miles, and we'll keep our inset to 5 miles. And we're going to go ahead and set map options terrain once we're off the ground. What else is wrong here? Click. Standby. 0. Erect and set. Set for the field. And flight plan mode is up. There we go. Alright. I think we're ready to ride. Taxi lights up. Check left, check right. And wind is 1.5. So it's right behind us right now. And now we got a quartering tailwind, so we're going to push that yoke to the left. And normally I would do my run-up, but we're a little tight on time in the real world for the virtual flight. We would never ever skip that
runway
in the
17.
real world. But I am going to decide to skip it now. Okay, we're transmitting on COM 1. Once again, we got our altitude set, we got our heading set, we got our MFD set, COM set, nav set. Avionics are on magenta needles. That's what we want. We're going to call and make sure that everybody knows what we're doing. Looking for traffic, left, right. Tacoma traffic, Skyhawk November 6378 Mike, taking off runway 17, departure to the west, Tacoma. Alright, we're going to go lights, and camera, squawking 1200, mixture, full rich. Let's take the runway. And we're going to want to get 2360 RPM. That's going to be our takeoff.
Runway entered runway 17. 4,900 feet remaining.
We're going to take off runway 17, 2360 RPM. If we don't have it, we're not going to go. If we can't get off by Alpha 2, we're going to abort the takeoff. And if we lose the engine on the way out, we're going to make for the beach. We're not going to try an impossible turn back. Okay, you can see the clouds. They look a little interesting. We're just going to see how well this goes. Takeoff power is set. Fuel flow is 2 ticks above the green. That's what we expect. Pressure, temperature, vac are good. Plenty of fuel. Airspeed is alive. Looking for 55. Trim is set for takeoff. Should have checked that before. I'm going to rotate at 55, pitch 10 degrees, and then for 74. Okay. Nose up, 10 degrees. Whoa, little too much right rudder there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trim it out. And for noise abatement purposes, we go ahead and take off straight till we're about halfway over the channel here, and then we can turn on course. And normally this is a towered airport, so you just do what they tell you, but that ain't how it's working today. All right, we're 700 AGL. And we're over the channel. I'll go ahead and make that turn. And we'll keep climbing for 4,500. Turning on course for Shelton. Alright, we're going to press the button to sync the heading. Nope, that's not working. 250. Okay, heading mode. AP mode is active. Heading mode is active. Alright. Pull that rudder, pull that uncoordination out of there. Alright, we're going to turn our landing, taxi, and strobes off, and make sure that we're doing good here on our checklist here. En route climb, airspeed 70 to 85 knots. Alright, I think we can do a little more of a climb then. Throttle full open, mixture rich, and lean above 3,000. Feels pretty good. Pretty it's a pretty loud engine, I know. Been working on that. Okay, fuel flow, pressure, temperature, EGT, vac are good, plenty of fuel, battery is charging. We can take a slightly bigger bite of sky. Now, as you see here, it does kind of look like 4,500 is a little ambitious. So why don't we bring it back down to 2,500. Bring that speed down. Keep it in the green arc. We'll get down to 2,500 and cruise that way. Definitely marine layer out there. Well, that's okay. Let's get some weather data from some of these local fields and start to figure out what the picture looks like as we get a little closer. 119,275 is Sanderson Field. That's Shelton. Wind calm, visibility 10, sky condition, few clouds at 3,300, 4,800 feet scattered. So, okay, that's not terribly bad. Okay, we're about 100 feet from our altitude of 2,500, 135,775. Okay, so there comes the here comes the leveling off. Let's see if we can pick up Hoquiam. Not yet. Alright, so let's get our RPMs together. Okay, we can't pick up Hoquiam yet. 135,775. So that'll be our next weather waypoint. As soon as we can pick up Hoquiam, we can kind of figure out whether conditions will stay steady or they'll be degraded, so that we have to rethink our plans. But so far, making our way to K Shelton. Okay. Off to our left there is Johnson's Point, I think. Is that right? Yeah, that's Johnson's Point. And the lights over there, that's Olympia. That's Olympia Airfield. State capital. Keep these RPMs at around 2,400 or a little more. Harstein Island is coming up. We're going to be flying over Harstein here. Alright, cruise checklist. Power 21 to 2,700 RPM. RPMs are good. Elevator trim adjust. Mixture lean above 3,000. Good. Cruise checks are complete. Oh, what do you say we talk to Seattle Departure and see if they can give us some VFR flight following? And we're 15 north of the Olympia VOR. Seattle Departure, good day. Skyhawk November 6378 Mike, 2,500 feet, 15 north of the Olympia VOR, VFR request.
For 6378 Mike, Seattle approach squawk 0351.
Squawk 0351, 6378 Mike. Got traffic.
Southwest 611, contact departure.
Traffic up ahead, 10 miles.
Contact departure, Southwest 611. Number 6378 Mike, radar contact 14 north of Olympia. Altimeter there 3004. Second your aircraft type, altitude with your request.
6378 Mike is type Skyhawk, 2,500 feet. We'd like VFR flight following to Quillayute, Kilo Uniform, India Lima.
Number 6378 Mike, roger. Denver departure, Southwest 611 is leaving 7,700, climbing via the Zimmer 3. Southwest 611, Denver departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain flight level 230. Climb and maintain flight level 230, Southwest 611.
It's just good to get VFR flight following, no problems with that. right. All right, so we want to stay south of the Olympia, or the Olympic Mountains there. We're going to take Shelton, and rather than go to Hoquiam, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cut forward here. We're just going to stay mostly on this heading. I'll probably, let me just jink it about 5 to the right here. We're just going to leave the Olympia Mountains off of our right side and continue along. And once the shelf on the south runs out, then we'll curve around the shelf that runs northward, and fly that to Quillayute. That'll save us a little bit of time rather than having to jump out all the way to Hoquiam and then make a turn. Again, we have no problem. We can see really well. We're in a good spot. Now, if we were to go above this cloud deck and it were to sock in, right, as we went further west, which is possible given we're going toward the ocean, right? There's this marine layer that's usually out there. We could get ourselves blinded. We could be, we can't see the terrain anymore, so we'd be flying by compass, we'd be flying by GPS, some other secondary navigation source to get us there. Then the problem would be, we're still over the coast at Quillayute. What are the conditions? Is there, is it going, oh no, it's all cloudy and you can't get down? There is no instrument approach into Quillayute. Now, how do we know that? Well, number one, I looked at the IFR charts. Quillayute shows in brown, and brown tells you that there's no instrument approach available there. And also, I went to Quillayute and tapped it, and I tapped procedure, and there's nothing. Your procedure is an airport diagram. So we don't have an instrument way to get down, nor do we have one to get to Forks. So again, if we cannot get here and land VFR, it ain't worth going. So we'll continue this way. As soon as we can tune Hoquiam weather, that'll give us a sense of what's going on the coast. I'll also grab an ADS-B forecast from CLM. That's William Fairchild International in Port Angeles. And that's sort of on the other side of the coast. And kind of putting those two together, we can get a picture of what's going on. So let me see if we're getting any weather from Hoquiam yet. We are 257 at 10.
That was 611. Contact Denver Center 133.67.
View at 1800. View at 48.
Contact Denver Center 133.67 Southwest 611. Number 6378 Mike. Contact Seattle Center 126.6.
Contact Seattle Center 126.6. 6378 Mike.
That was 611, Denver Center, 133.67.
Seattle Center, good day. Skyhawk number 6378, Mike, 2,500 feet level, VFR to Quillayute.
Number 6378, Mike, Seattle Center, the Bowerman altimeter 3005.
Thank you for 3005, 678 Mike.
Southwest 611 climbing through flight level 193 for flight level 230. That was 611 Denver Center, climb and maintain flight level 340. Climb and maintain flight level 340, Southwest 611.
Alright, so that's an interesting situation at Hoquiam. So we have few clouds at 18 and few clouds at 48. So at 1,800 feet above the field, whose elevation is 18 feet. So at 1,818 feet, we've got a layer of few clouds at Hoquiam. Now, 3,000 feet above that is another layer of few clouds. That's not a layer. Few isn't a layer. Scattered isn't a layer. Broken is. Overcast is. It's just few clouds. VFR, no problem. In fact, that's green VFR. No issues at all. Is there still a potential challenge to visual navigation? Yeah, absolutely there is. We have to make a choice about, do we go under the 1,800 just to not bother with clouds? Do we go above the 1,800 and sandwich between the 48? Do we stay at 2,500 and duck and weave around the clouds? Well, let's think about it. Where are we going? We're going north and west from Hoquiam. There's every potential it's going to be even cloudier. There's every potential that it's going to go from few to scattered to broken to overcast up there. And we may not want to get socked in, right? But do we want to run 1800? No, in general you don't. You need to be 2,000 over mountainous terrain and 1,000 over regular terrain or the nearest or the highest obstacle in your area. And we've got a couple of there's 308 over the ground, 519 519 why am I having a problem? MSL 519, yeah. 519 MSL, 368 MSL there, 428 on the way. Like, flying low, maybe not a good idea, right? We got some stuff here. I mean, they're not huge, but 1800 is starting to feel like kind of a little bit of a scary altitude.
Approach November 3662 Juliet.
Yeah, you can give me a bunch of crap about
my speed to 99.
You know, not being bold enough to be scud running around.
90 miles per hour.
In general, it's not something that I want to do. So what do you think the right answer is? I think the right answer is to, as we get closer to Hoquiam, figure out whether we're going to climb. Remember, we're not going all the way to Hoquiam. We're going to be heading over here to the right, so we need to kind of be thinking about those conditions. I say we stay at 2,500 as long as we can, and just judging what this looks like to me, we'll probably be able to do that until we make the turn, and once we make that turn around, kind of right around. I got way too many lines. Get rid of that crap. Once we make that turn right around here, that's the question. What do those clouds look like, and do we think we got a straight shot all the way, or is it going to be like descending, like sloping clouds downward to the ground? So let's stay 2,500. Let's not change our plan. Let's just roll with it. It's nice to hear that it's few clouds, though. That's awesome. It's not a deck at Hoquiam. Let's get an ADS-B on KCLM. So I'm going to play around with this little guy. Airport information. And I'm going to dial up KCLM. Well, whoa. Oh, I know what that was. If you go into this mode, press that button to start typing stuff, it can lock some of your inputs temporarily. It's awful. I've had it happen to me. I darn near crashed a plane in this sim doing that, so be careful when you're in keyboard mode. So what I thought, and that's my bad, I thought that you'd get ADS weather by doing that waypoint selection. So why don't we do flight plan. There we go. And I'll put KCLM. Hey, isn't this supposed to be VFR? Look around you. And I'll just put this in for now. Okay. What's the weather? And it's 182153 Zulu, which was an hour ago. Variable at 5 knots, 10 statute miles, and clear. 3007. So on the north side of these mountains, it looks really good. On the south side of these mountains near Hoquiam, it looks pretty good. So now the question is, we triangulate the weather together. Do we think that Quillayute's going to be the one patch that's absolutely socked in and terrible? I mean, sure, it's still possible. ASOS is 135225. Let's see if we can pick it up. Yeah, I can. 048 at 4. Wow. 048 at 4. Ceiling 1,800 feet broken. Oh my. 15C, 10C, 3006. My goodness. Well, now that's a pickle, isn't it? KUIL. 048 at 4. Broken at 1,800 above elevation 194. So 2,000 MSL. We've got broken clouds. That means we need to be flying at 1,500 feet MSL to legally be under those clouds, and it's still VFR. It's marginal VFR. It's really, really close to not being VFR flyable, but well, what would you do? How far would you go? We know that the TAFs give you the conditions in a 5-mile radius around the airport. We know that these conditions are MVFR in 5 miles around Quillayute. Maybe it's just a packet of little tiny clouds. Hold on. Whoa, look at this. Look at what just happened. The Quillayute METAR just refreshed and shows us few at 24, scattered at 30. Now let's call in again and see if that's coming through now. I'm not picking up Hoquiam weather now, or Quillayute weather now. It's probably because we now have the mountains in between us, and some other BS about the speed of light. So let's continue. And where we are right now, right? We're not taking the route to Hoquiam. We're staying close to the mountains. We're going to scoot around to the right, and as we do that, we're going to discover more and more of these current conditions. Are they good? Are they bad? Do we know? Well, we don't know everything we wish we knew. Map options, terrain, relative. That's important that we do that. I always like that. Okay, we got 25 nautical miles. Fuel flow, pressure, temperature, EGT vac is good. Plenty of fuel. Batteries are charging. Good RPMs. So far, so good. Out here at the left, you can start to see a little bit of the Pacific Ocean. We're definitely far away from Hoquiam. Like, we're about 17 miles to the northeast of it, and so you're not going to be able to see it super well, but it's out there. And that sort of inland intake of water there is Gray's Harbor. Good task, decent ground speed. Winds are very calm today. We've got about a 4-knot headwind coming this way. Let's talk a little bit about setup for... whoa, buddy. Sorry about that. Pressing buttons, doing crazy stuff. Let's talk a little bit about setting up for landing. Let me pop the tablet on real quick. So, Quillayute has runway 22 and runway 04. we know it's 048 at 4, so best wind is going to be... It's funny that the winds are absolutely exactly wrong on this. We got to go with what Microsoft Flight Simulator is telling us. That's our flight simulator. So runway 4 is actually best wind today, and you can see here where it's showing you the information. It does not say RP4 or RP22, which means it's left pattern. It's left pattern to get to runway 4. So if we were doing only left turns to get to runway 4, what would we do? Well, left turns would look like dit. That's going to be how we enter, right? So if we verify that traffic pattern into Quil runway 4, our options are a straight in off the coast, which could be a good idea, but you should note something.
At 2249, contact Albuquerque Center 134.6.
Contact Albuquerque 13.
This is the Quillayute Needles National Wildlife Refuge. You do not want to be messing about in there. That's not a place where you want to be flying too close to the ground. I believe you have to stay 2,000 feet above the ground, anywhere above a wildlife refuge. So we need to stay out of that. So that traffic pattern won't work. In fact, I think what we better do is we better modify our flight plan. Look at that. To overfly Forks. That way it takes us out of that area. We get a little close to the mountains here, but that's okay. So let me make that change over here on the MFD. Nice. Alright, that way is going to keep us nice and safe. But now what do we do? If we want to land 4, we can't go straight in. We're going to have to do something else. So procedure, traffic pattern into Quil, runway 4.
Seattle Center, November 520 Papa Lima. 18 miles north of Hoquiam, VOR, requesting flight following 6,500.
520 Papa Lima, Seattle Center, squawk 4740.
47400 Papa Lima.
That's somebody I know. Skyhawk 520 Papa Lima, Skyhawk November 6378, Mike calling on guard 1215, you on?
Papa Lima is receiving.
520 Papa Lima, Skyhawk November 6378, Mike. If you've got the ability, you switch comm to 12275.
Papa Lima, radar contact.
0 Papa Lima.
Seattle Center 6378, Mike Roger, radar contact. Zero Papa Lima 6378, Mike, come back. Skyhawk 520 Papa Lima is Skyhawk 6378, Mike. Oh, he's out there somewhere. That's pretty funny.
6378 Mike, 0 Papa Lima is on 127. 122.75, go ahead.
Skyhawk 520 Papa Lima, Skyhawk 6378 Mike. Isaac, it's Charles. How you doing?
Sorry, unable to chat at this time, 0 Papa Lima.
Roger that. Have a good flight. 6378 Mike.
Good flight, 0 Papa. Good flight.
All business. Love that dude. Alright, let's get back to our planning here. Do we want to turn for forks? I'd say yeah. I'd say it's about that time. So let's go ahead and go boom like this. FMS2, S18, direct, activate. And we'll go ahead and switch over to nav mode on our G1000. Right turn. Let's go ahead and keep working this. So I think a 45 is absolutely the best thing to do. So we'll cross forks and then head out heading 276 magnetic, and then we'll set up for the 45 Quillayute 048. And now we're past the mountains. We shouldn't have the same VHF degradation. We shouldn't have signal blockage problems. So let's go ahead and call for weather on Quillayute 135-225. Alright, Quillayute's back with us, 041 at 4. 041 at 4. Visibility 10, sky condition 041 at 4. Sky condition 18 broken, 15C, altimeter 3006. Well, I guess if you say so. I'm going to continue because I know that conditions are improving in the real world, so there's still plenty of daylight left. Temperatures are rising. Temperature dew point split. It's getting better, so let's continue. We're still at 2,500. We got good visibility. We got good clearance over all the obstacles. We're not having any incursion issues with the National Wildlife Refuge, the Copalis National Wildlife Refuge that goes up the coast. We're staying plenty away from the Olympic Mountains themselves, so we're doing good. We don't want to get, number one, we don't want to get too close to terrain. Number two, we don't want to get in any updrafts. Number three, we don't want to get in any of the precipitation or the clouds that are actually stuck up there near the mountains. So those are some of the things I'm thinking about. Let's keep rolling. And let's see, 122.9.
For 3662 Juliet, connect Santa Barbara approach 124.15.
2.9 is going to be Quillayute CTAF. And TPA is going to be 1200. Again, the plan is cross over forks, stay at 2500, then descend to TPA to join the left 45 runway 04
Number
full stop.
3662 Juliet, connect Santa Barbara approach 124.15.
We got a little bit of time. It's actually 23 minutes to Quillayute.
November 3662 Juliet, Oakland Center.
Let's get a little bit of music in here.
November
November 3662 Juliet, back with you. 6,700 climbing to 7,000.
Sorry, I stepped on the beginning of that transmission. Who was that calling?
November 3662 Juliet, with you again.
62 Juliet, thank you. Contact Santa Barbara approach 124.15.
124.15, 3662 Juliet.
All right. So we know
United
Hoquiam's a
2249
good
radar
VOR. Why don't we
contact lost.
switch
Go up
nav
there.
1 to TOU at 112.2? Because Olympia VOR doesn't do us any good. There's TOU. Alright, 64 miles to TOU. And we know Forks, 24 miles. Let's call it 25 miles. It's 25, 38. When it gets to 38, we should be over Forks, which means that we've got another 25 miles to go. That isn't right. No, it says we got 40 miles to go. What am I doing? 40 miles, 23. Yeah, that's right. I'm not doing my math right. 40 miles to go, bearing 320. We're right on track. This is beautiful country. This is great. This is a side of Washington that a lot of Washington residents have never seen. It's there's an Olympic MOA around this area, which that's what it is. But this is also the home of this is also the Quillayute tribe is out here, and as I mentioned in the beginning, the town of Forks, the setting for Twilight, is also up here, just a stone's throw away. You can see on the tablet here, Sierra 18. The Forks Airport is right next to KUIL, the Quillayute Airport. I assume they have different reasons for existing. What the history is between these two airports, I couldn't tell you. It's worth looking up one of these days. Here's something else that's interesting, and one of the things that I've been interested in looking at one of these days. Far south down, more close to Hoquiam, is Copala State. That's Sierra 16.
November 520 Papa Lima with pirate, if possible.
0 Papa Lima, yeah, go ahead.
0 Papa Lima is at 6,500. Tops are 6,000. Outside temperature 0 degrees centigrade. 0 Papa Lima.
0 Papa Lima, roger, thank you.
Cloud tops at 6,500. Seems about right. Anyway, so Copala State is a really interesting airport. It's, I believe, the only beach landing site designated in the state of Washington, at least in western Washington. And it's not, again, it's not really an asphalt or even a gravel or a grass or a dirt runway. It's all sand. It's, from what I understand, very challenging to land. It only works certain times of the day. There are a lot of restrictions on it, and none of the outfits I rent planes from are ever going to let you land there. So, and I think there might be a beached whale that's making it very hard to land there as well. So if that all together doesn't get you just scrambling to go fly out to Copala State, I don't know what will. But maybe that's something I could take a look at with playing more like a Kit Fox or something like that. I don't think the tires and the wheel pants on a Cessna 172 are going to really like the sand all that much. And here's the other problem. I've flown over and tried to look for where this would be, and the default scenery just isn't giving me any clues as to where this might actually be. I wonder if it's sort of a tide thing or the water level's too high or something like that. So, something for another day, of course. Well, I don't know, I'm just enjoying my flight. Just enjoying my coffee, says Walter Sobchak. Enjoying my coffee. Supreme Court has roundly rejected prior restraint. Come on, Walter, this isn't a First Amendment thing, man. Cockpit checks coming at ya. Fuel flow's looking good. Pressure, temperature, EGT or VAC are in the green. Fuel quantity is still good. Volts are up. Amps are charging. Plane looks healthy. The Olympic Mountains are absolutely beautiful. You know, I've never really been up there, never been hiking up there. Certainly haven't flown over the Olympic Mountains, at least not as far as I know. Maybe there's sort of an arrival or a departure around the Olympics, but I don't recall that. And within the Olympics, there, in fact, I didn't know this till today, there's actually a Mount Olympus, like Greek gods Mount Olympus, at a height of 7,969, represents, it appears to me, to be the highest point of all the Olympic mountain range. And I suppose that might be it. We see anything higher? No. That's probably the one. There you go, my friends. You have seen Mount Olympus. Pretty cool. Alright, so what's the terrain doing up ahead of us here? You can see that there's some terrain that looks like it's sort of on the left, maybe a little bit of lower terrain here. Terrain ahead of us is looking a little bumpy as well, and so this is just some of the natural terrain features.
Zero Papa Lima, were you going into Quillayute as well?
Zero Papa Lima is heading straight to Port Townsend, 0 Sierra Niner.
Zero Papa Lima.
I keep thinking that's me. That's the plane I actually fly in real life. Anyway, as I say, there's some natural terrain features that are ahead of us here, a little bumpier and a little higher than just flat land. It's beautiful country, but it is a little more interesting to fly over. Now, we're not in any real danger here. We're not going to be too close to the terrain. You can see it shows up as green here. We're looking for any yellows on our route, anything like that. And so far, we're good. This is a good route. We're not in too much trouble. If we were to have a problem, let's say if we were to lose our engine right now, how far can we go and where could we go? Well, right now the terrain above us is about 1,500 feet MSL. We got about 1,000 feet over the terrain right here, and you can see this is a pretty uncomfortable place to land in. Not a whole lot you can do. Now, if I look off to my right, that road, while it's hemmed in by trees, is probably a good place to land. I would think. That's probably about the best bet I can give you right now. This cleared area has a fairly long stretch of road. It's not exactly straight, but that would probably work. There's a river coming up. I don't necessarily want to land in a river, but there could be, as you see, maybe some areas where there's a bank of the river. That could be a somewhat safe place to land. This area right here, over to the left, while it's probably bumpy, is at least not going to sink your plane. And there are other roads and places like this. Now, how long do we have? Well, for every 1,000 feet you drop, it's for every 1 foot you drop, you're going to go 9 feet forward at your max glide, which, what is it? 68. So at max glide, 68 with your engine out. Every foot you drop, you go 9 feet forward. So you'll be able to go about 9,000 feet if you drop 9,000 feet forward if you drop 1,000 feet, which means about 1.5 miles. So we got about 1.5 miles range. Can we get to the riverbank at 1.5 miles? Yeah. Can we get to Quillayute? No. Can we get back to that road that you saw? Probably not anymore. So a little more height might be a good idea, especially as we're sort of running out of other alternatives. So how does this really jibe, though, with this idea that there's like a broken cloud layer or an overcast cloud layer of 1,800 at Quillayute? Like, this doesn't look like the situation that's at Quillayute at all. Let's go ahead and dial COM2 and interrogate that. Quillayute wind has changed, 244 at 7. Look at this, 244 at 7. Ceiling 4,800 overcast. 1710-3006. You see that the temperature went up 2 degrees since the last call, and that separation between temperature and dew point has pushed the clouds up. Now, there was another cloud report, and I want to say it was I think it was scattered at 18. So what would you do? Would you climb to 48? Would you climb to 4,500? No. Would you climb a little higher for terrain clearance? Yeah, I would. Let's do it. All right, full power. Let's climb up there. Why? Again, terrain clearance is important. We want to be able to have options in the case that we lose our engine, and if we can manage it with the cloud cover being what it is, getting that optionality could be a lifesaver in the event that we absolutely need to ditch. So we're letting that speed come down. We've got the autopilot on. You typically want to cruise at about 80 knots with the autopilot on. A nice, comfortable climb cruise. And so as we do that, we're looking out, watching ourselves get more clearance over this terrain. That's going to help us. And you can see here in the MFD that green is sort of being sucked away, and there's less color. That shows us that we're safer on terrain clearance now, crossing 3,500. And this will also actually give us a better opportunity to see the airfield. We'll actually get a better opportunity to spot the airfield early, and then once we spot the airfield, we can cancel flight following. We can take a visual all the way in. Again, that clearance is not a bad thing. We're watching, we're making sure that 4,500 doesn't look like an impossible thing to do with the clouds being what they are. I don't see us punching through anything, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. We now have another 16 miles to Forks, another 17 miles to Forks. Not very far to go.
Southwest 611.
Southwest 611, go ahead.
Go ahead and lean out a little bit.
Wondering when we're going to be getting our descent into Salt Lake City.
Southwest 611, you can ask for it at any time, but cross Spain at maintain flight level 190.
All right, we'll cross Spain at or maintain flight level 190 for Southwest 611.
All right, and let's go ahead and bring that climb down to about 500 feet a minute to recover a little bit of speed. We want a nice cruise climb. You can see that we got...
Southwest 611, sorry, Spain 1616,000.
16,000 for Spain, Southwest 611.
There we go. Now speed's coming back up to a good cruise climb. We don't want to have a squishy autopilot. It can get really groggy at low speed. We don't want to do that. As we level out to 4,500, we've done a bit of leaning on the little bit of leaning here. You can see just to be in a good spot. As the speed comes up, we'll go ahead and set our throttles. We'll lean out, and then we'll go ahead and start looking to see if we can see the airport. So you can see, look, this is not flat terrain out here. This is really interesting. We've got the hills, we got some dynamic terrain.
Destination ASOS is 135.2.
Now if we wanted to, we could actually shoot to the left here, and that seems like it might be a good plan. I'm looking at this clouds. It's not too terrible. So we got 15 miles to go, 7.5 minutes. Well, let's bring that RPM down. Throttles are working extra hard, so we'll get down to 2,450. And let's go ahead and lean it out real quick. Back, engine, lean. We're at 14.905. There we go. That's pretty appreciably leaned. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, 14 miles to Forks. Use the old Mark 1 eyeball here. It does feel like we need to start coming down, don't you think? not trying to give you vertigo here or anything, just trying to be thoughtful about our cloud decks and everything going on. So we're going to go ahead and bring our RPM back to 2200 for a nice cruise descent. And I don't know what's up with this music.
Southwest 611, connect Salt Lake Center 135.77.
All right, down we come. So as we come on down,
135.77 Southwest 611.
let's get ourselves set up for landing. We do our floor to door checks. We're going to do both tanks, fuel shutoffs in, mixture. We're going to go ahead and go rich once we're below 3,000. Flaps are up. Let's be sure lights are as required. So we're going to go landing, taxi, strobe lights are on. Keys are in both. Master's on. Standby is on. Plenty of fuel.
Salt Lake City
Batteries
Center,
are charging.
Southwest 611,
Seatbelts
flight level
fastened.
340.
One other thing we want to do,
Southwest
let's make sure our
611,
barrow
Salt Lake
is
Center,
set.
Salt Lake altimeter 30.
It's actually 3006.
3000 Southwest 611.
There we go. All right. All right, before landing checks are complete, we're coming down to 3,500. We're trying to maintain that visibility. Go to All right, so we're going over a rather interesting looking river. This is the Ho River. It's beautiful. Winding its way down from the Olympic Mountains. Very awesome. And what else? We have a major road. So if I pop my head up here, there's a major road that should be... Yeah, we say major, but it might not be as obvious, but I think it winds right through this little gap.
And Salt Lake City Center, Southwest 611, would like to request descent
Yep,
for
sure does.
meeting the altitude restriction at Maine.
Well, that road goes right by the Forks Airport.
Southwest 611, like to request descent.
Okay, I gave you Spain at 16,000.
Roger, Spain 16,000, Southwest 611, didn't know that was also my descent clearance, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's all kind of combined. It's basically a pilot's discretion to stand across that fix at 16,000.
All right, let's
Roger,
come down a little
Southwest
bit further.
611, thanks for the info.
Little bit further. BS. And bring that speed down, and as we come down, we're going to be coming through 3,000, so we're going to push full rich on the mixture. And yeah, I think we're going to fly visually for the gap here. We're headed direct for S18. Let's see, FMS2, unclick the button. Zoom range, there we go. Alright, so what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click the heading bug, and then I'm going to go ahead and click set heading. We'll do 310, and we'll switch the AP into heading mode. We're going to shoot for the gap over there. As you can see, the green is now crawling back, but we're shooting through this little gap right here, which is a safer region to go. We identified visually this sort of safe terrain that we want to go through, and so we're going to commit to that and go. Why did we come down this early? Well, the reason has to do with the clouds. I was starting to get a little obscuration. I mean, sure, I could still see, but that's not something that you want to play with too much. You're like, oh, that's not really a cloud, or that's not cloudy enough. It's like, yeah, you're starting to play games like that with yourself. Let's just get lower. All right, we're at 2,500, so punching that throttle up again. And what we're pointed at right now, we're actually going to be able to follow the road. The road goes here and it kind of winds through, and we'll see forks just off our right-hand side, and then we can use that to set up for the entry into Quillayute. I wanted to show you what I'm talking about rather than having you guess. So this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the road, and Forks is going to be just off the right-hand side. It's where the town is. It's where the airport is, and we'll use that. We'll also see that there's rivers to the north of it, these rivers here. So we'll use that, we'll cut over the Forks Airport, and then descend down to TPA of 1200 to join the left 45 for Quillayute. Wait a minute, What did we just hear at Quillayute? Conditions have changed. The conditions have changed. They changed. What's the latest weather we got? 244 at 7. Well, now wait a minute. What's the other runway? Procedure, traffic pattern, runway 22. Best wind, straight in. Boop. Doesn't that just look so much better? So we'll overfly Forks at 1.8. Once we overfly Forks, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you something kind of fun. I'm going to set OBS mode for magnetic 217. I'll show you how that works right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead.
Seattle, enter November 520 Papa Lima, leaving 6,000, vacating 6,500 descending.
FMS 1, runway 22, menu.
78 Mike, no traffic observed between you and the field. Radar service terminated. Squawk VFR change to advisory frequency.
No traffic observed between me and the airport. Squawk and VFR. Thanks for the help. 6378 Mike. Alright, we're out of flight following. Anyway, runway 22 leg has been activated. I'm going to press OBS mode. We're going to go nav 1, set course 1. And we want 217, which is the magnetic heading of the runway. Boom, 217. And I know that because I looked on my tablet and found the magnetic heading of the runway. Now, what we do is we overfly S18 and we fly in the OBS heading. We actually hit the course line 217. We turn left to intercept that course line, and we'll be right on. We'll be right on for a straight in runway 22. Forks Airport is in sight. Rock and roll. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the Quillayute 122.9er CTAF. Let's see if that's also shared with Forks. It is. So we'll go ahead and call Quillayute traffic, Skyhawk. Quillayute traffic, Skyhawk, November 6378 Mike, overflying Forks at 2500, going to be straight in runway 22 full stop Quillayute. All right. Where's the runway? Is it that? It could be that. So our range rings tell us that we're at we're at 5 miles from the runway, and it's going to be at our 2 o'clock. I suspect it's that thing or this thing. It's probably that thing right there. So why don't we come on down? I'm going to go ahead and set heading bug offset at 30 degrees. Let's call it 40 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and activate nav mode. And I'm going to... There we go. Nav mode is armed for intercept. I think I probably want to be 10 degrees over. And I'm also going to activate VS mode. We're going to set it to the TPA of 1200, activate VS mode, down 600 feet a minute, and drop that throttle. And we're going to want to slow down to about 90 knots. And since we're coming in straight in, we can go ahead and prep our flaps early. Alright, 10 flaps. That'll help us shed a little speed. Do we think we see the runway? Absolutely, that's Quillayute right there. Outstanding. Let's see if our OBS does a really good job turning us correctly onto the runway heading. It should. So the GPS acquisition mode has been activated, so now it's going to try to get on the it's going to try to center the CDI. We're at 90 knots. That's pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and slow it down even further. We're definitely high. At this point, we're 2.3. We're on a 2.3 mile final, just about ready to join final. And you can see the CDI is coming in, so that's pretty exciting. I think it's not going to correct fast enough, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it in myself, and we'll just call it in. Quillayute traffic, Skyhawk November 6378 Mike, 2 mile final, runway 22, full stop, Quillayute. And we need to lose a lot of air. We need to lose a lot of altitude really fast, so I'm going to go ahead and do a forward slip. Full deflection to the left and right aileron to compensate, and down we come. There we go. That's always fun for the passengers. And we're going to let that speed come down to below 85 knots. And we're going to go flaps 30. And we'll reacquire the runway.
500.
All right, feet on the brakes. We're going a little fast. We're going 75, and we should be going closer to 65. There we go. Give it a little bit of gas. Maybe a lot of gas. Quillayute traffic, Skyhawk 6378 Mike, short final runway 22, full stop, Quillayute. That's pretty good. We're at 62 knots. Runway 22's lined up. Good sight picture. We're a little high. And we'll go ahead and cut. We're over the threshold. And we're looking out to the edge. We'll go ahead and keep that nose up and align with the runway. Just a little fast. Just bubbled a little bit. We'll go ahead and put that nose down. Not bad. Alright, flaps are all the way up. We'll just continue our rollout all the way to the end. There's you can take a look here. You can take a look at the way this is designed. There's a turnoff just at the 04 approach end. That is the 22 departure end. Not bad though, eh? I felt okay about that landing. There's actually a couple of buildings here. I don't know if it's a full-on FBO. Doesn't say so. Show on map. FBOs. No, there's nothing that calls itself an FBO, but there we go. Quillayute traffic, Skyhawk number 6378 Mike, clear runway 22, taxi parking, Quillayute. Alright, well, I'll make sure we're all set up to head out again when it's time to take off. So we're going to get ourselves leaned out just a smidge. Flaps are up. We're squawking VFR. Go ahead and turn the landing and the strobes off. And trim is set for takeoff. Well, just pull up and get we'll just pull up and get a spot here. Grab a bite of lunch. When in doubt, go where the other planes go. You know, it's like they know something you don't, so like just always go where they are. I gotta hang with the big boys. All right. Good times. Let's go ahead and get that all shut off. Avionics off. Recording off. And cut it. Oh, fun times all around. It's you know, not always the most exciting thing to like fly in a straight line for a long time, but it was interesting weather, cool terrain, and this is a place we're really going. If weather serves, we'll be out there tomorrow and getting to land at Quillayute for real. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun, and I'll do my best to take good video, and you can see it for yourself. But it was a fun sim run, and nice to be with you today. Thanks for giving it a shot. We'll have more for you coming up. All right, have a great day. We'll see you in the skies.